My name is Maik, and before I tell you what happened in my bedroom last night, let me warn you of something. If you ever wake up at the exact same time every night, if you ever hear something move in the dark when everything should be still, if your closet door ever opens on its own, do not look inside. I did, and I can't unsee what was staring back at me. I'm only telling this story because if something happens to me, someone needs to understand what was in that closet, what I saw, what came out. And listen before this goes any further. Please, if you're hearing this, hit subscribe. Not just for me, but because what's happening is real, and you might need these warnings more than you think. Now, let me start at the beginning. 3 months ago, I moved into a small upstairs apartment in a quiet neighborhood near Portland. It wasn't anything special: cream-colored walls, creaky wood floors, old brass, the kind of place you rent when you're trying to save money and avoid people. The bedroom was the warmest room in the entire apartment. Afternoon sunlight would hit it perfectly, making the whole place glow. But the closet felt wrong from day one. It was older than the rest of the apartment. The wood was darker, thicker, heavier. The kind of door that looked like it belonged in a century-old house. Long vertical scratches ran across the inside panel. Not random scratches parallel. Deep, carved like someone dragged a metal tool against it. Or fingernails. I told myself it was from the previous tenants. Maybe they had pets. Maybe they moved furniture carelessly. Maybe anything normal. I didn't want to believe the uneasy feeling crawling under my skin. Bate ben. Then something in me whispered, "Don't sleep facing that door." My first night there, I woke up shivering. The heater was on, but the cold in the room felt unnatural, like the air itself was being pulled from my lungs. Then I heard it. A soft, slow creak. My eyes shot open. The closet door was cracked open just an inch. Just enough to see blackness behind it, thick like ink. I hadn't opened it. I hadn't even touched it since moving in. I got up, closed it, blamed it on the apartment settling, and went back to bed. But the second I laid down, it felt like someone unseen had just watched me close it, and was waiting. The next morning, I found the door open again. I hadn't heard it this time, but it was open. The same small gap, the same darkness. It took 3 nights for me to realize it was happening at the same time. 2 a.m. every night. Without fail, I'd wake up seconds before it happened, as if something was pulling me into consciousness. My body would freeze, my breath would stop, and then kriak, always slow, always exact, like a ritual. I tried everything. I wedged a chair under the knob. I locked it. I stacked boxers in front of it. Every night, 2 a.m., the door would open. And the chair, sometimes it moved on its own. Sometimes it fell over. Once, it slid 2 feet across the floor, as if pushed from the inside. That was the first night. I truly felt afraid. Around the second week in the apartment, the sounds started. Whispers, soft ones at first, so faint I convinced myself they came from the walls, or maybe from neighbors downstairs. But no neighbor whispers like that. No neighbor whispers your name. Mike. I heard it one night close. Too close, as if someone pressed their face against the crack of the closet door and breathed the word into the room. I jumped out of bed, heart pounding against my ribs. I grabbed my phone, turned on the flashlight, and aimed it at the closet. Silence. Door open. Darkness waiting. I slammed it shut, shoved the chair against it, and didn't sleep again until the sun came up. The next day, I met my downstairs neighbor while getting my mail, a woman named Rachel, maybe around 40, friendly but tired looking. She asked if everything was okay upstairs. Said she kept hearing noises around 2 in the morning, heavy steps, dragging sounds, wood shifting. I lied and said I must move a lot in my sleep. Her eyes narrowed. No, these weren't footsteps like yours. These were heavier. Heavier. That word sat in my stomach like a stone. By the 3rd week, I was desperate for answers. so I did something stupid. I set up my old phone to record all night. I positioned it facing the closet door. I hit record at midnight. I went to bed and tried to keep my eyes closed as long as I could. But at 1:57 a.m., I woke up again. Heart racing, skin cold, breath slow and shallow, almost forced. 1:59. The air shifted, like the room inhaled all at once. 2 a.m. The door creaked open. I didn't move. I didn't breathe. I didn't dare turn toward it. After what felt like minutes, I heard it. A soft shuffle on the floor. Small. Light. Like the steps of a child. Then tap. Just one. Like a fingertip on the wood of my nightstand. Inches from my head. I stayed frozen until morning. When the sun rose, I grabbed the phone. My hands shook so badly I almost dropped it. The video file was there, 11 hours long. I scrubbed through until the timestamp hit 2 a.m. The door moved, by itself. Slow. Deliberate. Stopping halfway, and then something happened I couldn't explain. A shadow stretched across the floor from inside the closet. Not shaped like a person, not shaped like anything human. It was too thin, too long, like it belonged to someone crawling. I felt sick watching it. The video ended with the door still half open. But the shadow, gone? The video should have been enough for me to pack my things and leave the apartment for good. But human beings are stubborn, especially when we're scared. Fear makes you want answers you probably shouldn't look for. So instead of leaving, I bought stronger locks, a metal bar for the closet door, and even a motion sensor. I didn't know what I was fighting against, but I wanted to believe I had some control. Looking back, I see how stupid that was. 2 days later, there's a knock on my front door. When I opened it, an older man stood there, maybe late 60s, deep lines in his face, sun-damaged skin, white hair combed back. He introduced himself as Mr. Harris, the building's former owner. "I heard you've been having problems with the bedroom closet," he said. Mr. Harris looked past me into the apartment, his eyes landing on the hallway that led toward the bedroom. "That room has a history," he said quietly. "Most people don't stay long." Something actually happened in that room, and something was still there. That night, I didn't try to sleep. I sat on the bed with my back against the wall, lights off, watching the closet door like it was an animal ready to attack. 1:55 a.m. The floor felt colder again, but this time it didn't feel like cold. It felt like the cold was alive, creeping up my legs. 1:59 a.m. My ears filled with a soft static, like a TV left on in another room. Then, 2 a.m. The metal bar I installed on the closet rattled once. Twice. Then it bent. Bent. Metal doesn't bend on its own, and I knew I wasn't dealing with anything that followed the rules of reality anymore. The bar snapped out of place and hit the floor with a metallic thud, and then the door creaked open. Slow. Gentle. Almost curious, my breath caught in my throat. I reached for my phone, but my fingers were trembling so badly I dropped it. From the darkness inside the closet, a whisper escaped. Maik, I froze. It wasn't aggressive. It wasn't angry. It sounded lonely, like a child calling out in the dark. I forced myself to speak. "What do you want?" The whisper stopped. For a moment, everything went silent. Then, soft footsteps began coming forward. Light, small, dragging slightly. But not like a child walking, like a child crawling. I couldn't see anything in the darkness, but I could hear it. The faint scrape of skin on wood, the tapping of tiny fingers on the floor. I grabbed my phone and switched on the flashlight. The beam hit the floor near the closet, and I saw a hand. Small, pale, thin like bone, covered in wet paper. It jerked back into the shadow the instant the light touched it. I felt a wave of nausea and fear so strong it made my vision blur. This wasn't a hallucination. Something was in the closet, and it knew my name. When daylight came, I left the apartment. I didn't pack anything, I just walked out and drove to a cafe with my laptop. I needed answers, even bad ones. I searched every record I could find about the building. Nothing unusual. Then I tried the address. Finally, something Apadan archived news article from 1998. Missing local boy, age 7, last seen near Elm Street Apartments. His name was Evan Pierce. Dark hair. Small, soft features. Vanished without a trace. The article mentioned he was last seen playing near the woods behind the building. Search teams found no evidence, no remains, no belongings, just gone. But the final line of the article chilled me. Neighbors reported hearing tapping on their walls in the nights following Evan's disappearance. Tapping like the sound I heard beside my bed. I slammed the laptop shut. My heart was pounding so hard people started looking at me. I drove back to the apartment, trying to convince myself this was all coincidence, that Evan couldn't still be there, that whatever was in the closet wasn't him. But deep down, I already knew. Children who die lost don't rest. When I got back to the apartment, a piece of paper was slid under my door. It had only one sentence. You heard me. No signature. Nothing else. My throat tightened. Someone knew what was happening. Or something dead. I didn't move for almost a full minute. Then I picked up the note and threw it in the drawer. But it didn't make me feel any better. As night approached again, I realized something. Running wouldn't fix anything. Whatever was happening, it started long before I arrived, and it wasn't going to stop on its own. I had to confront it. I set up 2 phones this time, one in my hand, one on the dresser, facing the closet. I turned off all the lights, sat on the bed, waited. 1:55 a.m. My breath turned to smoke in the air. 1:57. The tapping started, soft at first, then louder, faster. Tap. Tap. Tap, tap, tap. Like a child knocking to be let out, I whispered, "Evan. Is that you?" Everything stopped. Silence. Empty. Dead. Then, slowly a voice answered. Not a whisper this time. A voice so close it felt like it was right beside my ear. Let me out, like my entire body locked up. I stared at the closet as the doorknob began to turn, not pushed, not forced, turned. Like a hand was gripping it from the inside. I knew, in that moment, that whatever came out next might not let me walk away this time. The moment the doorknob turned, something inside me broke. It was a sound, the soft, metallic click of the latch moving that made everything suddenly, terrifyingly real. I wasn't imagining a presence. I wasn't misinterpreting shadows. There was something on the other side. Something that knew my name. Something that had been opening that door every night just to get 1 inch closer. I gripped my phone, flashlight trembling across the floorboards, as the closet door slowly swung open. This time, it didn't stop halfway. It kept moving. Inch by inch, until the darkness inside spilled fully into the room. I felt it before I saw anything. The cold, the thick pressure in the air, the heavy silence that settled like dust. "Evan," I whispered, forcing the name out, even though my throat felt tight. "What do you want from me?" For a moment, nothing. Then, a voice rose from the darkness. Not a child's voice, not a whisper, but something layered like 2 voices speaking from the same throat. "See? My flashlight cut through the darkness and landed on the floor inside the closet. A hand. Small, pale, almost translucent. Fingers too long, joints crooked like they hadn't bent in years. It crawled out slowly, dragging the rest of the body with it. Tiny arms, thin legs, head hanging low, hair matted and dripping like it had been underwater. But the face was wrong. Sunken cheeks, grayish skin, wide, empty holes where the eyes should have been, not just blind, hollow. Missing, as if something had taken them long ago. My stomach clenched. I backed up until I hit the wall behind the bed, my breath shaking, chest tight. Evan I whispered again, but my voice cracked halfway. The thing lifted its head. It wasn't a child anymore. Maybe it never had been. It tilted its head sharply to the left, bones cracking like ice breaking under weight. Then it spoke again, that doubled voice that sounded like two beings crammed into one broken body. You left me. In the dark, a memory hit me, a sudden, violent flash of a face I didn't recognize. A small boy with dark eyes, mud on his cheeks, hair dripping with rain, darkness, then a closet door slamming shut. I blinked hard. It wasn't my memory. It didn't belong to me. Something, maybe the closet, maybe the thing in front of me, pushed the image into my brain. I swallowed hard. I didn't close you in. I didn't even live here back then. The creature crawled closer, dragging its limbs with jerky, unnatural movements. Its fingers scraped across the floor, leaving faint streaks behind. You hear me, it said. You. Open door. I shook my head violently. I'm not opening anything. It stopped crawling. Its head twitched again, a sharp, unnatural movement. And then it said, in a single whisper that made my stomach turn, please. I hesitated. And that was my mistake. I should have run. I should have called for help. I should have done anything except answer. Please, what? I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. The creature lifted one arm and pointed directly at the dark inside of the closet, the place it had crawled from. Help me. The words hit me harder than any scream could have, because beneath the distortion, beneath the hollow voice and the deathly tone, there was something else. A child's desperation. The same desperation I heard in the old article. The same fear in the tapping at 2 a.m. Evan. Primera sighed softly. Were you trapped in there? Did someone? Before I could finish the sentence, the creature lunged forward. It wasn't fast. It wasn't violent. It didn't attack me. It wrapped its freezing hands around my wrist. I gasped. The touch was like grabbing ice that burned instead of cooled. Then, without warning, it pulled me forward, toward the closet. See, it whispered. See what they did. My flashlight flickered. My chest tightened. My heartbeat thundered in my ears. And Primera, look. Inside the closet, behind the hanging clothes, behind the old wooden paneling, there was writing, carved into the wall. Let me out, please, Mom, Dad. Cold help. Hundreds of scratches. Some deep, some faint, all small, like made by a child's fingers. And in the center of the back wall, one final message. I'm still here. The creature loosened its grip. Its head dropped again. Stuck, it whispered. No light, no door. For the first time since moving into the apartment, I didn't feel scared. I felt sick. Sick at what must have happened to him. Sick at the idea that he died alone, calling for someone who never came. I knelt slowly, still shaking. I'm sorry, Evan, I said quietly. I didn't know. The creature's hollow sockets lifted toward me, and for the first time, it didn't look hungry or angry. It looked relieved. Now you know. And then it let go. Its body collapsed like ash, dissolving into the closet floor. scattering like dust in a cold wind. The air warmed. The pressure lifted. The darkness loosened its grip. The closet stayed open. The room felt empty. Truly empty. For the first time since moving in. I felt alone. Authorities sealed the apartment 2 days later. They pulled the closet wall apart. Behind the boards, they found bones. Small ones. A child's. The news made local headlines. Neighbors whispered. Rachel cried. Mr. Harrison moved away, and me. I told the police everything, except the part they'd never believe. But I'm telling you, because someone needs to hear this. Someone needs to know the truth. And maybe someone else needs the warning. If your closet door opens every night at the same time, don't ignore it. Don't pretend it's nothing. And whatever you do, don't look inside unless you're ready to see what's waiting. And before I end this, if you're still here with me, hit subscribe. Not for me. For you. For you. No one should face the dark alone.